so many of you have been reaching out, wanting to understand this crypto crash, and it's a great question, and we've got some really interesting information to dive into today. We're going to try to get to the bottom of what's driving this downturn in the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just one thing. There are actually a few different areas we need to look at.
Yeah, it's a very complex story. We're seeing a convergence of a few things, some global economic shifts and then government actions and regulations and then some very crypto-specific issues. And then all that's wrapped up with investor sentiment, which kind of colors everything.
Right. Okay, so let's start with the big picture, the global economic factors. Inflation has been, pretty much unavoidable. How does that pressure impact the crypto market specifically?
Well, when prices are rising generally, central banks, they often try to cool things down.
Right.
And they do this by increasing interest rates.
Makes sense.
And what's interesting is this changes the whole investment landscape.
Right.
So higher interest rates can make less risky assets more appealing. So, something like bonds suddenly becomes more attractive.
Yeah.
And so things like crypto, which are known for their volatility, they can become less attractive to those investors who are just looking for safer returns.
I see. So that incentive to take on more risk, it diminishes.
Exactly.
If you can get a decent return without, the wild swings of crypto, you might lean in that direction instead.
Yeah.
Now, the information that you shared also mentioned a strengthening U.S. dollar. So how does that play into all of this?
Well, when you zoom out to the global financial stage, a strong U.S. dollar, you can put downward pressure on the price of a lot of different assets.
Uh-huh.
And this includes cryptocurrencies, which are often traded against the dollar. It also makes, those dollar-denominated crypto assets more expensive for people holding other currencies.
I see. So it's a sort of a two-pronged effect.
Yeah.
Less desire for those riskier assets, but then those assets also become more expensive for many that get international buyers.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about governments and regulations. What kind of impact are their actions having on the crypto market?
Well, I think this brings up, kind of a crucial point about how the broader financial world views crypto and how they interact with it.
Yeah.
So when you have increased scrutiny from regulatory bodies, like, for example, the SEC launching investigations, that can inject uncertainty and fear into the market. And often investors respond to that by selling off their holdings.
Right.
And similarly, if you have major governments putting in place restrictions like on how cryptocurrencies can be traded or used, that can significantly reduce, market activity and dampen enthusiasm.
Right. Uncertainty, can definitely spook investors.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go a bit deeper into some of the issues that are specific to the crypto world itself. We often hear about scams and exchange hacks. How much do these kinds of events actually contribute to a market crash?
Well, these incidents are really critical because they chip away at that fundamental trust that people have in the crypto ecosystem. When you have these high-profile cases of scams where investors lose, significant amounts of money, or when exchanges are hacked and funds just disappear, it really creates a climate of fear.
Right.
And this can trigger, pretty widespread selling.
Yeah.
As people become very concerned about, the security of their own investments.
Right. And the information that you shared mentioned large-scale liquidations. What exactly does that mean in this context?
So in the cryptocurrency market, many traders use leverage.
Okay.
And this is essentially borrowing funds to increase their potential profits.
Huh.
However, if the market moves in the wrong direction, they can face what's called liquidation.
Okay.
And this is where their positions are automatically closed to cover their borrowed funds. And when a lot of these liquidations happen at once, it can create this kind of snowball effect, pushing prices down further. As more and more leveraged positions are closed out, high leverage just makes the market very, very sensitive to any kind of negative price movements.
Yeah.
And you just get this domino effect.
Right.
Crash.
So it's this chain reaction of selling pressure.
Exactly.
Okay, so finally, the information touches on the psychological side of all of this. The fear and the panic selling. It's not all about these rational decisions, is it?
Absolutely not. Human emotions play a huge role in market cycles.
Right.
Especially in something as volatile as crypto.
Right.
So once prices start to drop really quickly, fear can just take over. And even investors who might normally, hold for the long term can be compelled to sell just out of panic.
Yeah.
And this, of course, can further accelerate the downward trend.
Right. Right. Now, the information also mentioned that, experts are looking ahead And obviously predicting the future is always a challenge. But
Right.
what's the general sense of what's next?
It's really hard to say.
Yeah,
It's really hard to say.
yeah.
But I think we can say one thing. The factors we've discussed, they're going to continue to be really important moving forward, you know.
Yeah, okay.
So understanding them can help us understand crypto.
So to sum up, it sounds like this recent cryptocurrency market crash, it's not due to any one single thing, but rather this combination of, we've got a less favorable global economic environment, increased attention from regulators, those inherent vulnerabilities that exist within the crypto space, and of course, those very powerful human emotions of fear and panic all kind of converging at the same time.
Yeah, precisely. And I think it highlights how interconnected the cryptocurrency market is with the broader financial world. You can't really separate them.
Right.
And I think it really underscores the importance of, considering all these different factors when we try to understand these market movements.
This has been a really insightful look at what's been happening. It makes you think about the resilience of this market in the long run, doesn't it? Given all of these really complex and interacting forces.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a fascinating space to watch.
absolutely. Well, thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure.
This has been another deep dive.